and welcome to Your Hometown Solutions, where we cover everything community related and real estate related that you need to know. And we've got an exciting guest with us today on Your Hometown Solutions, and in the studios with me is Jonathan Lack, the co-host. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Jean.
You know, we've been talking about all kinds of various community helping hands in our last shows that we've had this last month. But today we're going to be talking about how to basically help yourself, because that's what's important when it comes to financing. But before we introduce our first guest, tell us a little bit about your background so people understand where we're coming from as far as the real estate and law and so forth.
Well, as you said earlier, our goal on the show is to provide information to our listeners for all manner of things. We focus on real estate and your home and how it relates to you personally. And towards that end, I am a transactional real estate attorney, so I can help you buy and sell a home as an attorney, but also am a real estate broker with Waterview Realty Services. So again, we can provide support in finding or selling your home. And lastly, I have Waterview Title Services, which would be the closing agent to assist you with the purchase and sale of a home. We do also assist with residential and commercial and business practice as well. So you can reach Waterview Realty at waterviewre.com and my law office of Lack & Lack Chartered at lacklaw.com. That's LACKLAW.com.
And also, we have a website. We have a lot of our guests' information on our website at www.yourhometownsolutions.com. And we like to say we're kind of akin to HGTV shows in some ways, because we try to talk about various things you can do with your property or investments, or kind of Angie's List meets the Chamber of Commerce, I guess is what we're all about. We want to make sure you know about some of the things that are out there that might assist you. And basically gift giving. We have had some of our charity groups on in the last couple of weeks. We want to talk about refinancing, about getting your home sold or buying. But today we have an interesting guest that's going to be talking about your future and your financial future. Jonathan, would you like to introduce our new guest?
Yes, it'd be my pleasure. As you say, we talk about all these different ways to help others and to help the community. It is very important that you start by helping yourself. Having a strong foundation for yourself, it enables you to then become charitable. It's hard to be charitable when you're struggling on your own.
And what do they say on the airplane when the oxygen mask comes down?
Yes, exactly.
You got to put it on yourself first before you can help someone else, right?
Exactly. And so it's our pleasure to have in the studio with us today Ilene Davis, who's a certified financial planner and can provide a great deal of information. She also has written a book, Wealthy by Choice, Choosing Your Way to a Wealthier Future. And it's all about investing both in yourself and learning how to properly invest. And with that, I will say, welcome, Ilene. Thank you for being on the show. And please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
Actually, you've done a pretty good job with the current. I've been a certified financial planner since 1984. Got my securities license in '82, and at the time, my goal was to really help people reach their financial potential. I started investing when I was 18, so I'm almost at the point that I've been investing for 50 years, which is pretty frightening. I've been through all the ups and downs of the market, and really just want to help people understand how easy it is to build wealth if they'll take the time to learn.
I noticed you have a little bio on, I guess it's a website called Live Frugally. Is that it? Or
no,
that was the title of it, but you were on.
No, I've been in, thanks to you, Jean, when you introduced me to Help a Reporter, I've responded to a number of Help a Reporter requests, and I've been interviewed. And one of the funnier ones was, I was on one, they'd asked for people who had accumulated $1 million, and you had to actually send them statements that showed that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know where it was appearing. And suddenly my boyfriend gets a phone call from his son in California that says, "Dad, Ilene's on the front page of Yahoo."
There you go. And then it talks about, is this the one that I'm looking at here, Live Frugally?
And I'm not sure, because I've been in several, and I'm not sure which one that one was.
This one is saying how you, at the age of 37, with roughly $100,000, I guess, in financial assets, grew that into $1 million.
Yeah, I think that was that one then.
Mm-hmm. So that's how you came up with the book, based on what you did years ago?
Well, the book actually came about, it's 1 year and 35 years and 50 years in the making. I've been helping people save money I can go back to before I was even a broker, of just helping a friend who couldn't afford tires for her car. And I said, she was going out to lunch every day. And I said, well, if you'd cut that to 2 days a week and bring your lunch. And so through the years that I've been helping clients build wealth, I just look at their budget and help them come up with ways that are fun, easy to save money. I mean, it can be as little, I talk about crockpot parties. I talk about using leftovers. I shop pretty much 90% of my clothing comes from some sort of thrift store. And just looking at, I've lived that life, and the book is full of those kind of stories that I've been telling clients for years that make it where they can really apply. It's not just how to think rich or how to, it's saying, if you did this thing and you save $500 a year, 20 years from now, if you invested it, here's how much income you could get from it. So it's really getting it down to the little everyday choices that you make in life. And that's why it's called Wealthy by Choice.
And it's all about investments for the long term.
Yes.
Because people think, okay, I want to buy a stock and I want to roll it over, and as soon as it goes high and I want to sell. But it's all about leaving it in there. Isn't there some kind of a formula that it's 15 years or 20 years and it doubles if you don't mess with it? Or
excellent.
Okay.
What you're thinking, okay, what you're looking at, it's called the Rule of 72.
Okay.
And the Rule of 72 says if you take the interest rate that you're earning on your investments and divide it into 72, it tells you how many years it will take for that to double. Works with inflation, by the way, too. So if you've got somebody that is looking at 20 years of retirement, 25 years of retirement, if they expect inflation to be 3%, 3 into 72 is 24, so their cost of living would double during that period of time, which is one of the things that catches a lot of retirees because their Social Security doesn't go up that fast, their pension doesn't go up that fast. But basically, interesting statistic I found in Barron's, in the past 144 years, which is a pretty long time.
We like statistics.
144 years, I think it was through 2014, that if you looked at a diversified portfolio of stocks, for a 5-year, for moving 5-year, rolling 5-year periods, there were 16 5-year periods that a diversified portfolio had lost money. You get to 10 years, it drops to 4 10-year periods through that whole 144-year period. You get to 15, 20, 30, 0. There hasn't been, in the last 144 years, there hasn't been a 15, 20, or 30-year period of time that a diversified portfolio has lost money. Where most people go wrong is the emotions. They get caught up. They don't think what they're doing. They react to what's going on, and they react to external. And, a good example of that was 2008. I had a client that was retired. Her money dropped down a whole lot. And she called, needless to say, very concerned. And I said, look, the damage is already done. The line they use is don't catch a falling knife. The damage is already done. I said, let's work out a plan. I said, because what I will ask you, I said, when you go out to eat, can you just walk into a restaurant? There's nobody there. Well, no. Okay, if you look at hotels, can you just pick up anywhere you want to go and pick up a room for next to nothing because nobody's using it? When you look, most people, life just goes on. It's that headlines every day that scares a lot of people, and they don't look beyond today. They don't look at the fact that we've been going through this for several hundred years, and it's probably going to continue with the ups and downs.
Well, I think what happened, too, back in that 2007, 8, 9, 10, 3, 4, 5 years that we had there, a lot of people were stuck in an unusual situation where they were too young to collect Social Security. They lost their job, and now they need funds from somewhere. So they've had to liquidate when they probably shouldn't. But the only time they could, the only thing they had was their portfolio. And so they took a hit. You got penalties and everything else. But when you're looking at nothing and something over here, so then their whole plan, their whole game plan went up in smokes. So we can start. We can
absolutely
help.
True.
We can get them back on track at this point, a little bit. Anyway.
And you're exactly right. Is where it really hurt were retirees because they had planned their whole spending, the retirement spending level of income around that 2007 peak. But to go back. And again, this is where emergency funds come in. that when you know, what I tell clients, when you're getting ready to retire, you need to have 3 years of living expenses above and beyond. If you have Social Security and pension, it's that gap. If you're not going to be eligible for it, then you need to have 3 years of living expenses in a money market fund that doesn't go up and down, because the probability of losing money diminishes so much. Excuse me. Plus, if you, with your investments, instead of having to sell them at a loss, the dividends can keep, excuse me, the dividends can keep.
Stop tape.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. And if you have to cough, go over here. Okay. Let's pick it up from, Jeff, can you give us a pickup?
Dividends.
Your loss of dividends. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, basically what you can, with the dividends, instead of having to sell at a loss with their investment, the dividends can keep pouring into that 3-year fund. And so they don't have to sell at a loss. A lot of it was that people just assumed the market was going to keep going up, so they had nothing in savings. So when the market came down, they had no time to plan. They were really forced into selling right after a 30-40% drop. And that affected a lot of people. And so again, it goes back to whether you're getting ready to retire or you're years from retirement, you need to have 6 months to a year in emergency funds. And if you don't have that, you're going to end up, and too often what happens is, if they don't have those most investors do have emergency funds, because they've learned that through, if they're working with an advisor, they've got money set aside, or at least they have something to fall back on. The problem for many people is they have, latest numbers I just saw were 40%, I think it's 40% of American households as of this year or last year couldn't come up with $500 in an emergency.
I know, I saw that too. It's sad that people are so limited on having any kind of an emergency fund.
And add to that 30, I think it's 30% of people 55 and older, so you're nearing retirement, have no money saved for retirement. And 33% of people, I do a lot with statistics, but 33% of people on Social Security, they get 90% of their income from Social Security. So that's 1 out of every 3 people on Social Security has no other money. And when you start looking, if they're dependent on that check, paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, all it takes is one emergency, one unexpected expense, and they're behind the 8 ball moving forward.
Well, I see, and as you're speaking, I'm listening and thinking, and my mind is racing to really 3 or 4 different clients, if you will. You've got the people who are just starting out. How do you recommend somebody, a young person? Then you got somebody in the 30s, maybe just starting with a family. Then you got somebody in the 50s who's maybe kids are going off to college now and they're starting to think about retirement. And then, of course, you got the retirement folks. That's kind of how I'm breaking it up in my brain.
Okay.
And any suggestions kind of for each of those, or are they in fact different?
They're different or the same depending on where they are as far as what they've got accumulated. Okay,
let's assume they're starting off. So let's start with the young'uns.
Okay. Basically, the young ones, because time is their best friend, I call it the retirement nest egg starter kit.
And don't rely on Social Security. Let's start with that.
Right. Yeah. I don't even count on Social Security, but I start with what I call the retirement nest egg starter kit. And what that is, it literally is a piece of paper that has the numbers 1 through 60. And you cut that out and it's in the book, and you put that on a empty 2-liter soda bottle. Why an empty 2-liter soda bottle? A, it's plastic so you can cut it open in a real emergency. B, it's clear so you can see the money building in there. And then my recommendation is every day put a $5, not a check, not coins because it won't fit. Put a $5 bill in.
Not an IOU.
Yeah, not an IOU. Put a $5 bill in. If you can't do $5, at least do $1, and it gets you thinking about it. And if you'll do that, what you'll find is in 2 months, you've got enough money to start, where I start with clients with as little as $100 a month. You can start a systematic long-term investment plan, knowing you can afford it. And not only that, with the $300 after the 2 months, you've got the $100 for the first month. You've got the $100 for the next month when you forget it's going to hit your checking account and come out. And you've got $100 that can go in to start building that emergency fund. Some